Guys, welcome back to another tutorial, and we've got another image sent in. So these guys send in their images to me. That's why I want you guys to comment down in the description who you guys want to see, so I can go reach out to them on Instagram, ask them to send a photo and do a tutorial on them. So this image has been sent in, and to achieve this edit it's quite important to understand white balance. So we'll talk a little bit about that, adding in purple and adding in greens to create the whites to be an actual white. So if we come over to his Instagram, you guys can go give him a follow down in the description. I always put his links down there, and I've actually done a few videos on him before, so I'll link down in the description all the ones I've done with him before. So if you like this video, you can go check out those other ones as well. So we come down, we're going to be working with this image right here. So we're going to have to really add in those deep blue tones, and you'll see later on that we've got to actually add in those skin tones with a brush. So looking at a few more of his images, you can see there's quite a warmth. Those greens go to a very orange and almost a blue, and yeah, remember, you guys can go check them out down in the description. Go give them a follow down there. Let them know you found them through these tutorials. And yeah, you can see that there's a little bit of a fade to those blacks. So we've got to lift the tone curve up a little in the blacks and shadows. And there's a slight flatness to those whites and brightest areas. So bringing down the white point as well, and yeah, quite a bit of warmth to the image, so a bit of split toning. And yeah, let's get into this one. Let's get into Lightroom. Here's the unedited image that he sent me, and then a screenshot from his Instagram. So this image is quite tricky and requires a knowledge of white balance and how to white balance. So as you can see, we are very warm over in this image. We have this green yellowy tinge, especially to the whites, and for most of the time, unless you're going for a unique style, you want those bright whites to be white, and at the moment they're quite yellow, and then the rest of the image, it has a green tint throughout all of it. So you need to understand this area here, and to get rid of the green tint in the image, you need to shift the opposite color, which is purple, into it. So I'm going to shift this really far across, and that's going to shift it to much more of a purple. And the whites here, you can see how they've gone much more closer to white. So that's what we want, and now this is much more white balanced. It's a bit purple at the moment, but we'll work on that. We want it to be this deep blue, but this is a lot more what it would have actually looked like to the human eye, for example, because we're getting these whites to a white. So they're a bit yellow still. I'm just going to do a tiny bit of coolness, and yeah, so we need to understand adding in green takes purple out because they're opposites, and vice versa. Same with coolness and warmth, and we want to get these white bits white, well, the bright whites white, because very bright whites don't have color in them and we need them to be white. So important to understand that. And let's just go on into exposure and stuff. Let's drop it a little. Contrast can come up. You can see we're much darker back there, and in general we have brighter whites and highlights. Shadows, so we want these dark areas a bit darker. Let's drop them. And you can see we're not quite dark enough back there. Let's drop the blacks. And then we obviously have to brighten this bottom bit up with a filter, as it's just far too dark to do anything with it like this. So we're going to brighten, don't pay attention down there. We're just sort of trying to achieve this area, getting it the right darkness. Right. let's move on a little bit. Let's come down. Let's just do a real quick S-curve. So we're just bringing up black point. Okay, so that's the curves done, and this is just a real genuine S-curve, bringing up the blacks a little, shadows down a bit, highlights about where they are, and then just taking down those whites a little. So that's bringing down the whites, just sort of fades off those really bright bits a bit. So if you look really closely over here, you can see that detail is kind of gone. You can't really see the outlines. So you can see the outlines at the moment. Well, when we do that, you can really see the outlines, and then when we drop it, you can see there's a slight fade to those really bright whites. So that's what we're doing with that little drop. Pretty much always bringing up the black point just a little. It's not really noticeable in this image, but we will just do a little bit there, and then you gotta drop the shadows to keep a bit of that contrast there. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's try to achieve some colors now. So we want to add in quite a bit of warmth. We're going to try to get these nice blues. We might even just quickly do some work in the hue channel, just because these blues, we know we're going to be working with blues, pretty much no other colors. As you can see, we need to get these deep blues, so we're not going for a teal, we're not going, this is quite tricky to achieve. I'm going to add in some warmth with the split toning, and then that should give these deep blues. We're very, very blue at the moment. This light, slightly lighter, slightly more green look. So let's first drop the saturation, as we're far too saturated, and that makes it difficult to work with colors. Okay, right. So we obviously have really deep blues, so dropping the brightness of the blues, which is what the luminance does, will give us really deep blues. So you might think we need to drop the shadows or something, but since the whole image is blues, it's important to try with the luminance. Maybe you drop the luminance to get these deep colors. So remember, we're going to brighten this area up with a filter, so don't worry about that too much. Right, if we come into right, it's maybe a bit too much. Let's go about there. Right, let's go to split toning. Let's try to get some warm tones that will give us, say, not such of a purple. So let's go with maybe a tiny bit in the highlights. You can see how that sort of gives us green around this area of the image. I slightly want that, so we're going to drop it down. And in the shadows, so we've got a real purple blue, and we know that the opposite of purple is green. So we could go this way, and it kind of gets us a bit closer, but I'm going to do it with split toning because I just really want to affect the shadowy blues, because that's where our deep purples are. So as you can see, that gives us more of a green if we do that. I'm going to do that in the split toning. So I'm going to grab a yellowy green. Let's put this in. Okay. So I think that gives us blues a lot closer to what we want. So they were quite purple before, and now a bit greeny, but still have a nice blue to them. Right, let's just come up to hues maybe. Let's Aquas, so up the top. Okay, what I'll do is just do the filter down the bottom now, because then that will make the rest of the editing a lot easier. It looks just really dark down there. So if we go to the filter here, and I've already placed them for the tutorial, so as you can see it's affecting everything down here. We sort of want it just exposing that reef down there. So what we want to do is bring up the exposure. And then you just want to work on things like contrast. You can see those, the whites there are much brighter in his image, and we sort of look kind of flat. Well, before we do that, like I said, it's really important to understand white balance for this edit. So as you can see, we're very blue down here. It looks unnatural. Like, I don't think it would look that blue if you're swimming down there. We want it to be nice and white over in his image. So the opposite of blue is a warmth. So let's put that in. And as you can see, we're much closer to a white. We're a little different. We need to brighten the whites a little, I think. Let's brighten the whites to get that nice pop on the sand there. And then we lost quite a bit of color when we did that, but I'm happy with that because we were looking a little yellow. So those whites. Contrast maybe, just to get so you can see the shadows and the ripples in the sand down there. You can see how that adds detail down there, just matching it up like his. And texture, I'm gonna put some texture in there, bring out the sand down there a bit. And then you just want to get real picky. So I think we look a touch on the purple side. We've got these blues down here look a little purple. I might shift the tint a little bit towards green. And yeah, we might have to come back to this later, but yeah, I'll just roll with that for now. Okay. Right, if we come to hue saturation, we'll just try to fine tune some of these colors. So if we play around with the purple, you can see that is affecting a lot of the blues. That's affecting this very middle bit here. So we need to definitely shift this in this direction to get that bit more of a green to our blues. At the moment, very purple. Don't want to go that way. That's going to be red. Come over all the way this way. Okay. Right. And then saturation for the purples. I think these are very saturated and it looks really dark back there. So I'm gonna maybe saturate it. And back here also, like I said before, it looks really dark. Saturation sort of makes it look a little bit darker, not really, but luminance. Let's drop the luminance and see what that does. Makes it look very dark back there. So I'm going to drop that down. And yeah, a lot more like his image. And then blues. Aquas. Magentas. Don't really play a role in this at all. Okay, I think we're good. We don't need to play around with any other colors because we don't have any other colors in this image. And I think we're looking good. Right, let's just do some sharpening real quick. So we want just basic sharpening, I think. So just bring it up to about 40. And then let's come down. Profile corrections, don't want to do that. You can see it's very distorted if we do that. Let's keep going. Right, okay, so now we need to do our skin tones and stuff. So you might think, let's boost the oranges so we can see their skin tones. But you just can't see it. It's not there. So yellows, trying to get the skin tone to pop. You can't see it. The image is too dark, it's too blue, it's too green. The camera hasn't registered those skin tones. So what you've got to do is put them in yourself. So I'll show you how to do this, and all you have to do is do a brush over the subjects. So I've already placed the brushes, and I'll just show you, click this box, or you press O, and it will show you where the brush is affecting. So all that I've done is gone in with a brush and brushed over the subject like this. So if I just turn that back on, just brush over the subject. If you get something wrong, click erase. Make your brush nice and small with the bracket key and just erase what you don't want. And yeah, nothing special, just a decent feather, a decent flow. So that's going to be how much you apply with each brush, how harsh your brush is flow. Feather is the gradual fall off on the edges of your brush, and then just size there. So yeah, nothing special, just brush over your subjects completely. And yeah, so if we come back to this, and now I'll show you how to add those colors in. So let's bring up exposure so we can see our subjects, and as you can see, they're very, very blue. Let's go with that. So we want lots of contrast. You can see we look just really flat. Those blacks are much darker in theirs, and those whites, those highlights are really popping, making our subjects really stand out in the image. So contrast, bring right up, and then you can just fine tune it. I think those highlights are really popping. Let's bring that up. You can see how that just sort of makes them shine a bit. Let's try bringing up some shadows, just because you can see quite a bit back there, but then we sort of lose the contrast. Drop the blacks, and then maybe drop the whites, maybe, because we want that nice softness to them. Okay, so that looks good, and we want to add in the colors now. So we could try to do that by adding in warmth, and then you can see we're too green, so we'll add in purple, and you start to get a little bit of skin tone, but since there was just none at all, we're gonna put in our own by coming down to this little box, clicking it, and now this is just where you pick a color to put in. So we're gonna choose a really nice orange or red or just whatever skin tone. We're going to try and match up the skin tone. So obviously we don't want a green, we don't want a red over here. Then down is saturation, and then just across is your hue. So we're going to pick a nice orange. That we think looks good as a skin tone. Saturation can pretty much be 100, and I think that looks really good. Done with that, and then I've just got another brush here. If I press O, I can show you where it's affecting. So we just want to keep the contrast in some of these areas. So what she's wearing, we sort of brightened the blacks because whatever she's wearing is black, so it lost its contrast and it doesn't look natural. So if I just press O again, you can maybe see that it's just not black. We want it black. So I did another brush just to brush over what she's wearing, and then what I'll do with that is just drop exposure. Maybe drop the blacks. And good. Right, I think we're done with that. So yeah, I think that's our skin tones about done there. And let's do a filter now. So come here. Actually, we've already done that. What we want to do is do a radial filter up the top here, and we just want to add a little bit of a glow to this water coming through. You can see in our image, you can see the lines a little better, you can see a little more detail up there, but in our one, we can see a little more detail. Over there, there's a bit of a glow to the highlights, nice and soft coming through. So if we add just a little bit of dehaze, that will get us that effect. So just a little bit. Let's go with that. And then we want to tidy up the seafloor here. So we just want to make it a little cleaner. Yeah, so what you do is get your clone stamp tool, come down here and you just click on whatever it is you want to remove. Make sure your circle is a bit bigger than what you are trying to remove. So click here, for example, and it's going to choose a different area to replace that with. So just make sure your feathering isn't too big or too small. You want your opacity pretty high, and yeah, just click. And then for some reason, it normally does a good job, but for this image, it's randomly picking pretty shit spots to do this. So I've just dragged it somewhere else to pick it from. So you just keep doing this. Okay, and that is the stamps done. Yeah, and I think we're about done with this image. So yeah, here's our before and after. So as I said, understanding the white balance, getting those yellows out of the image, the greens, taking them out by adding in those purples was a real key thing to do in this image. And then obviously we had to add in those colors into the image, so getting pretty good with those brushes. Yeah, and then that's about it. Using the luminance to get those deep colors that you want. And yeah, let's move on. And then I think it's just looking a little too green down the bottom here. So if we just come down, actually if we just click on the filter for it down there, and then just take out that little bit of green tint we added down there. Or you could maybe play with the highlights, but then remember, you could maybe add a little more of a red. Maybe we're too yellow up there, so we could shift the red a little more towards a purple, and you'll get a bit more of a white and a purple down there as well. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. I'll just try shifting it a little bit across. And then I'll go with it there, and I'll just leave it there, guys. I think we're pretty close. There's probably some different ways to go about this edit, definitely. But yeah, pretty happy with that. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Okay, thanks for watching, guys, and I just thought I'd add a little bit to the end of these videos now, just to let you guys know what the plans are for the channel, and just a little bit about myself, because I don't really post much. I sort of want to keep this YouTube channel tutorial based, but it doesn't really give me an option to post my creative work or my thoughts or just random how-to videos. I'm sort of keeping it how it is now because I really like the feedback that's happening. But what I'm trying to do is post more on Instagram. I'm going to be posting a lot more content over there because I just feel like it will allow me to expand what I get to post, because at the moment it's just tutorials. You guys really like them. I don't want to stop doing them. So if you guys could head over to Instagram, you should start to see a lot more content over there. I'll let you know what I'm trying to do with this tutorial, with this channel more. I'm currently in the process of hiring someone, so I don't have to spend so much time doing these tutorials. I'll still monitor the quality and make sure the quality is really good. And yeah, that's about it, guys. If you guys want to go give him a follow, all of his links are down in the description. Let him know you found him through this tutorial. And yeah, head over to my Instagram, guys. I will start doing a lot more stories, a lot more content, and letting you guys know what's happening with the preset pack and all sorts like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like, leave a comment people who you want to see, because then I go through all the comments, reach out to them, ask them to send in a photo and do a tutorial on them. So that's about it, guys. Catch you in the next one.